Hello, Bob, and thank you once again for joining us. It was a major week for the macroeconomic data and the central bank release traders. The Bank of Canada created a move of more than 150 pips due to its release. Is there anything even close scheduled during the next week from other countries?
It's a busy week ahead on the economic data front. For the US dollar, key stats in the early part of the week, we've got core durable goods on Monday and consumer confidence figures on Tuesday. Expect consumer confidence to be the key driver there. Focus will then shift to first quarter GDP numbers and initial jobless claims figures on Thursday. While the markets are obviously looking for improved economic conditions, labour market conditions will need to continue to improve. So jobless claims will need to begin to see more marked declines in the coming weeks. At the end of the week, personal spending and inflation figures are also in focus. Main event of the week, however, is the monetary policy decision on Wednesday night. While the markets were expecting the Fed to stand pat, the rate statement will be key. Will the FOMC members be aligned on this low for longer as inflationary pressures continue to build? For the euro, busy week as well. In the first half of the week, German economy is in focus. We got business and consumer confidence figures due out. Focus will then shift to German employment figures, and then we've got a relatively busy end of the week where we've got first quarter GDP numbers for Eurozone member states and the Eurozone. Those will be the key areas of focus for the euro. For the pound, particularly quiet week, no major stats to consider. That leaves the markets to consider how the UK government is progressing on reopening the economy and what implications there are on the economic outlook.
The Federal Reserve is bound to impact all the markets through the US dollar value. In the meantime, is there anything left to look at from the commodity currency countries?
For the loonie, key stats, we've got retail sales figures, expect plenty of interest there after the hawkish Bank of Canada signals last week. At the end of the week, we've also got RMPI and GDP numbers. Markets will be relatively forgiving on these figures. Retail sales figures will likely be key.
All quiet in the Commonwealth in regards to macroeconomic events. What about the Asian large currency countries, Japan and China?
The Japanese yen, busy week ahead. Key stats include retail sales, inflation, industrial production figures. Expect industrial production and retail sales figures to be the key areas of focus. On the monetary policy front, Bank of Japan's also in action earlier in the week. Not expecting too many surprises there, however, as they continue to stand pat on policy. For the Chinese yuan, private sector PMI numbers at the end of the week, these are the MBS numbers. Expect both manufacturing and non-manufacturing figures to provide direction for riskier assets at the end of the week.
All in all, during this week, the United States Federal Reserve and the Bank of Japan announcements will be the top events to watch. In addition, could geopolitics impact the market?
On the geopolitical risk front, we've seen progress on the nuclear agreement between Iran and the West. That will need to be inked and dried to support easing tensions across the region. And then obviously we've got US and China. There's compromise and agreement on direction on climate, but then obviously there's competitiveness, and obviously China is still continuing to flex its muscles. So expect those to be key areas of focus on the political risk front.
Thank you, Bob, for joining us, and we will see you next week. That was all for this week's news. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on all of our social media platforms.